Ugh, what a mistake I've made. Why did I ever marry you? People said you'd make a good wife, that you were refreshingly honest. So I got swept up and married you. Should have never tied the knot with the daughter of a poor farmer like you. My name is Alice, and I am 32 years old. I've been married to my husband, Bruno, for 3 years, and for the past year, I've been hearing this sort of talk from him every day. We both worked at the same company. Bruno joined a year before me. Our company is a general trading business, and lately we've been focusing on the food sector. We introduce and broker new ingredients and food products, department stores, and supermarkets. That's mainly what we do. Bruno and I hit it off at a company party. Maybe it was the drinks, but we were cheered on by those around us and started dating soon after. He was kind, sociable, and always had me laughing. I thought a life married to him would be filled with joy, so we got married after a year of dating. Bruno's parents had already passed away, but my parents are still living and run a small farm in the countryside. I was a child born to my mom at 39 and my dad at 41, after they'd been married for 10 years. So when I got married, my mom was already 68 and my dad was 70. Both were thrilled about my marriage. Bruno was initially very helpful around the house, and we often went out for meals together, enjoying each other's company. However, about a year ago, Bruno's behavior started to change dramatically. He began complaining about everything I did, and our outings together stopped. Although I had doubts about staying with him, I thought of the kind Bruno I'd known when we got married and hoped he'd revert back to that. Plus, I didn't want to worry my parents, who are already over 70, so I held off on divorce. If only your parents had more money, then maybe I could have benefited from this marriage too. They're useless. They'd be better off as fertilizer in a field. Hey, that's way over the line. We're talking about my parents here. I say it because they're your parents. This marriage was totally pointless. I can endure any insults about me, but I can't stand him talking about my parents that way. Though they're considered elderly, they still work hard at farming, sending us delicious vegetables and produce all the time. For me, they are more than just invaluable. They're my lifelines. Compared to my friends' parents, mine are significantly older. That always concerned me. However, I'm truly grateful to my parents who always had me in their thoughts and took great care of me. I've always loved my parents deeply. I've been biting my tongue to keep from upsetting them, the very parents who were thrilled about my marriage. Even after that, Bruno kept bad-mouthing my parents almost every day. I was just about to hit my breaking point when Bruno brought up divorce. You know, being married to someone poor like you, there is no advantage for me. I don't want to waste my life anymore. I get it, then it's fine. I had no energy left to argue. I might worry my parents, but I don't want to be with this person anymore. As soon as I agreed, Bruno, as if he'd been waiting for this, handed me the divorce papers with his name already filled in. I signed them without a word. Once I've packed, I'll leave. You can stay here if you want. Is that okay? Yeah, but change the name on the lease. I don't want to keep paying the rent. I understand. But I decided to move too. Staying alone in a place where I'd lived with Bruno felt wrong, and I wanted to sort out my feelings and start fresh. And so, our divorce was finalized. We still work at the same company, so there is a bit of awkwardness when we see each other. But working in different departments turned out to be a blessing in disguise. When I told my parents about the divorce, they looked a bit sad. Still, they said, "If that's what you've decided, then it's okay. You're the one living your life," was all my parents had to say. Their kind words felt like a lifeline. Being divorced after an office marriage did make me self-conscious, but no one said anything. And with Bruno's verbal abuse gone, I felt relieved. Being alone made me realize how much I'd been holding back. I truly felt it was good that I got a divorce. So, this happened one fateful day. I had some work to attend to in the department where Bruno was. On my way there, I happened to overhear a conversation Bruno was having with a colleague in the break room. "Man, you really hit the jackpot, huh? She's the heiress to Prime Supermarkets, right? She's totally into me. Can't believe you've been keeping this a secret from your wife for a whole year. Well, I had to be careful. Last thing I wanted is to be slapped with alimony, but it took some time. No matter what I said, she wouldn't bring up divorce. Would have made things easier if she did. You're a piece of work, you know that. Thanks to my daily insults, she accepted the divorce pretty easily, though. I feel sorry for Alice for marrying someone like you. Come on, you can't compare the daughter of a poor farmer to a supermarket heiress. Prime Supermarkets is a major chain that's spread across the U.S., and our company does business with them. Bruno was in charge of sales for that supermarket. So, to summarize, Bruno had been having an affair with the heiress of that supermarket for the past year. And to keep the affair secret, he had been insulting me, waiting for me to initiate the divorce. Hearing this, it felt like everything went wide before my eyes. I would have felt better if he had just honestly said, "I found someone else, so I want a divorce." I was so filled with shock and anger that I felt like I could explode. But I said nothing and left the room. I didn't want to be known as the woman dumped by Bruno because he had an affair. Feeling so humiliated, I just didn't want to be there anymore. The realization that Bruno wasn't just betraying me, but was also scheming for his own convenience made me so angry. But I chose not to confront Bruno. Sure, I could probably get some kind of settlement if I pushed the issue, but I didn't want the hassle or the gossip. I just wanted to let it slide. The following month, Bruno left the company. I heard he got re-employed at Prime Supermarket's corporate headquarters. I breathed a sigh of relief, knowing I wouldn't have to see Bruno's face anymore. Soon after, I heard rumors that Bruno married the daughter of the CEO of Prime Supermarkets. The female co-workers in my office were skeptical, but the men seemed envious. Apparently, Bruno fast-tracked the wedding because the CEO's mother, Bruno's new grandmother-in-law, wanted to see her grandchildren married off sooner rather than later. I can't help but think it's just a cover story. Bruno's perfectly capable of bending the truth like that. Furthermore, not a single employee from our company was invited to the wedding. Bruno was hired as a sales manager and seemed to be on a fast track to success, according to the gossip amongst his former colleagues, tinged with jealousy. Nothing surprises me anymore. It's probably all according to Bruno's plan. While it's infuriating to think about, my desire to avoid him is stronger. However, that wasn't the end of it. I received a call saying that the supermarket that bought produce from my parents' farm had suddenly cut ties with us. It was Prime Supermarket, and it was Bruno who informed us. What's going on? I had to call Bruno to find out why. My wife doesn't want me dealing with my ex's family, he said. What? She doesn't want any contact with your parents. Call it jealousy, I guess. But that has nothing to do with our business relationship. Maybe, but I can't ignore what my wife wants, and honestly, I couldn't care less about your parents. I hated to grovel to Bruno, but I begged him to reconsider the contract termination. He refused. I never thought it would come to this. My parents love farming. Their greatest joy is seeing people enjoy the produce they've grown. They're getting older, but they're still passionate. I don't want to strip them off of their livelihood. So, I had no choice but to look for a new contract. I tried, but I couldn't find any takers. Then, my company decided to host a food fair. I negotiated to include my parents' produce, and surprisingly, I got an immediate okay. The CEO was excited about their organically grown, carefully crafted produce, especially after tasting it. There was a fee for the booth, which I paid for without telling my parents. On the day of the food fair, my parents arrived, beaming with pride over their produce. Seeing them so happy filled me with joy as well. Then someone approached us. He was a restaurant owner from Boston, interested in using my parents' produce. His restaurants focus on high-quality ingredients, and after tasting the produce, he was impressed. My parents were thrilled. We quickly struck a deal, and I felt a huge weight lift off of my shoulders. 3 years have passed since then. My parents are still working in the field, as energetic as ever. They say they genuinely enjoy this lifestyle. I quit my corporate job and have been helping them for the past 2 years. Though my parents insisted they were fine, I saw the increasing work in sorting and fulfilling orders. It became clear they needed help. I'm happy to work alongside them. On a trip back from delivering produce to a restaurant, I bumped into Bruno. "What are you doing here? I heard you quit your job after I broke up with you." "I didn't quit because of you. I'm helping out my family's farm. We supply this restaurant with our vegetables." "Ah, helping out the poor farmers, huh? Suits you, I guess. You'd be leftover stock at the company just like your vegetables." "How rude you still are." "That's just the truth. Look at the gap widening between us. I am now the sales director at Prime Supermarket, a true elite. While you'll just weather away." "I'm actually getting remarried." "What? Who's the unlucky guy?" "Another broke person." Ignoring Bruno's continuing insults, I get in my car and leave. I'm marrying Louis, the chef at the restaurant where we supply our produce. We grew close during my numerous delivery trips. He's been raving about our produce, even took the time to visit our farm, and has become quite friendly with my parents. He's always smiling and is as genuine as they come. Somewhere along the line, I found myself drawn to his unguarded smile. But after my last marriage, I thought I was done with the whole idea of tying the knot again. Yet, he's like the sun, gradually melting away my reservations. Meeting Bruno at this point seems like a bad omen, just as I'm about to take a new step in life. Louis knows the story behind my divorce with Bruno, and he was quite angry when he heard it. But at that night, after telling him about running into Bruno, he brushed it off, saying, "Next time, just show him how happy you are." I agree. Besides, Bruno doesn't matter to me anymore. Thinking otherwise would only please him, because that's the kind of person Bruno is. On the day of our wedding, I was in the dressing room when Bruno suddenly appeared. "What? Why is Bruno here?" "What are you doing here?" "I had a hunch. You said you were getting married, and I heard there was a wedding at this restaurant, so I came to check it out." "Why are you here? You're certainly not invited." "I wanted to see this poor wedding of yours." "What?" "I'm just curious to see who the pathetic woman that I dumped is marrying. Though, he'll definitely be less than me." "Your taste is truly terrible." I couldn't help but feel pathetic, wondering if I had really married such a lowlife. At the same time, looking at Bruno's smug face in front of me, I felt grateful we had broken up. "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Show me this new husband of yours already." Just as Bruno spoke with delight, Louis and his parents walked in. "Alice, are you ready?" "Huh?" Seeing Mortimer, Bruno went pale instantly. "Why are you— Ah, Mortimer! You know him?" The moment he heard that, Bruno started trembling, losing all composure. Mortimer, too, looked at Bruno as if just recognizing him. "Oh, you must be— Alice, do you know this gentleman?" Yes, actually." "Is this perhaps Alice's ex-husband?" Well, you see, Hugh. I've heard about the ex-husband from my son, but you're him?" Well, Mortimer, you know this guy." As a matter of fact, Mortimer is the CEO of a major department store. The Prime Supermarket where Bruno works is about to be acquired by Mortimer's department store. It appears the supermarket isn't doing well, and it's been decided it will become a subsidiary of Mortimer's department store. I might have known about this if I were still working, but I had quit 2 years ago, so I had no idea. But why is Bruno here at his ex-wife's wedding? Alice, did you invite him?" "No way! He crashed it, saying he wanted to see Poor's wedding.
I see. Well, you see, there is a reason. I'd love to hear the reason. That is, can't believe this Bruno is you. Never knew you were such a low-class guy. Mortimer spoke in a calm tone, but the low pitch of his voice conveyed his anger. It was the first time I had ever heard Mortimer sound like that. I've known him as a mild-mannered person ever since Louis introduced us over a year ago. But now, facing off against Bruno, he emanated the authority of a CEO of a large corporation, making Bruno look insignificant. What kind of supermarket owner would want a son-in-law like this? And you're the head of sales? Isn't the decline in business your fault? I didn't... Leave now. This is no place for someone like you. Seeing Bruno shrink at Mortimer's words made me feel pity for him. Unable to find any comeback, Bruno left as if fleeing. This is what happens when you look down on others and feel joy about it. If Bruno hadn't intruded like this, maybe no one would have found out he was my Bruno. It's what you call reaping what you sow, I guess.
Our wedding was enveloped in a serene atmosphere from beginning to end. It turned out to be a beautiful ceremony. My parents, watching all of this, were shedding tears. I felt like I had finally put their minds at ease. Later, Mortimer told me that the owner of Prime Supermarket claimed that he had no knowledge of his daughter dating Bruno before his divorce. But considering Bruno switched jobs to Prime Supermarket immediately after the divorce and was even offered a position, Mortimer doubted the owner was really in the dark. The owner of Prime Supermarket seems to dote on his daughter and pretty much agrees to anything she says. As a businessman, he's definitely lacking, Mortimer commented. Prime Supermarket became a subsidiary of Mortimer's department store. The executive team was replaced and the former owner was resigned. Bruno left the company as well. Then, out of the blue, Bruno contacted me, asking to be employed by Mortimer's department store, the parent company. I struggled to comprehend what could possibly make him think that that was an option. That's absolutely not going to happen. What on earth are you thinking? Don't say that. Give it a try. I might get divorced if things keep going this way. My wife says she doesn't need a husband who doesn't bring in money. That's not my concern. Don't you feel sorry for your ex-husband if he ends up on the streets? Not at all. What a person you are. Fine. Can you lend me some money? What? Just enough to get by for now. My wife is a big spender and it's tough. I couldn't believe what was happening. But when that phone call came, I was actually visiting my in-laws. Mortimer, who was sitting next to me, took the phone and yelled with a fury I'd never seen before. Don't ever contact my pressured daughter-in-law again. Thanks to his final shout, I never received another call from them. Now I help out at my family's home and also work part-time at Louis' restaurant whenever I have some free time. The restaurant owner is a friend of Mortimer's, and they make a lot of accommodations for me, making it an easy place to work. About 6 months after remarrying, a colleague from my old job came to dine at the restaurant, and we briefly talked about Bruno. It seems the former president of Prime Supermarket is drowning in debt and has skipped town. His daughter and Bruno are left dealing with those debts, working from morning to night. Apparently, they blame each other for their plight and fight constantly. Their new apartment is in an older building near my former colleague's home. Apparently, their arguing got so loud the other day that someone reported them to the police. My colleague saw them during that incident and said that they had lost so much weight they were almost unrecognizable, laughing as he told the story. But honestly, I don't care anymore. I don't look back on the past. Besides, our family will grow by one more member come next spring. Both my parents and my in-laws along with Louis are all thrilled. I plan to cherish this happiness.